An alleged chemical weapons attack has occurred August 21st on civilians in an agricultural belt outside of the Syrian capital of Damascus. The number of reported casualties has been a topic of much heated debate. Since the U.S. states that 1,429 people died, 426 of them being children, which is much higher than the 350 people offered up by the British intelligence. Obama administration was quick to respond, stating that these chemical attacks were done by Bashar al-Assad and his regime, and these attacks were carried out on his own people. The blood of his people are indeed on his own hands.
We want the Assad regime to understand that by using chemical weapons on a large scale against your own people, against women, against infants, against children, that you are not only breaking international norms and standards of decency, but you're also creating a situation where U.S. national interests are affected, and that needs to stop.
This is indeed a card that we've seen played before. WMD, baby.
Armed groups use sarin gas in all these sites, and we repeat that the terrorist groups are the ones who use chemical weapons with American, British and French encouragement.
Videos circulating around the net about rebels claiming responsibility for the chemical attacks has brought up much controversy, and the UN has stepped in to do an investigation. Unfortunately for us, the Obama administration does not have time for these legal matters and want to strike immediately.
And I made it very clear to him that if the regime, as he argued, had nothing to hide, then their response should be immediate. Immediate transparency, immediate access, not shelling. Their response needed to be unrestricted and immediate access. Failure to permit that, I told him, would tell its own story.
Regardless of who you are cheerleading for in this conflict, let's play a little game of Buono. What does Bashar al-Assad stand to gain from inflicting chemical weapons on his own people and perhaps sparking international conflict? Well, nothing.
Syrian government forces are advancing. In some areas they've surrounded the rebels. To think that at such a time they would give a trump card to those calling for intervention is utter nonsense.
There are several conclusions that we could draw. One, Bashar al-Assad is the worst risk player the world has ever seen. Or, the Obama administration is quick on the trigger.
Let's not forget that Barack Obama is a Nobel Peace Prize laureate. Over the past decade, the US has started several conflicts in various parts of the world. But did that really solve any problems? Afghanistan, Iraq, Libya, there's no democracy there now, which is what the US claimed it tried to bring. There's no civil peace or balance. All of this needs to be taken into account before making the decision to start bombing Syria.
The Russian pundit makes a good point. Let's not be too hasty here and do anything rash.
In a world with many dangers, this menace must be confronted. After careful deliberation, I have decided that the United States should take military action against Syrian regime targets.
Will somebody please give this man another peace prize?
Having made my decision as Commander-in-Chief based on what I am convinced is our national security interests.
Yes, war is peace, ladies and gentlemen. But the Constitution does state that you must go in front of Congress before you declare war on another nation. Going against that is grounds for impeachment, as tweeted earlier this week by Congressman Dennis Kucinich.
And that's why I've made a second decision. I will seek authorization for the use of force from the American people's representatives in Congress.
Well, thank you, Obama, for following lawful procedures. Now the decision is in the hands of a group with a lower approval rating than cockroaches or traffic jams.
9%. 9%. That's a pretty catastrophic fall-off in the last 10 years.
In a recent poll, the American people have decided, with an approval rating of 9%, Americans have placed Congress well below lice, colonoscopy, used car salesmen, Genghis Khan, root canals, and yes, even Nickelback. It would appear that American people are waking up and are hip to the game, when it comes to foreign affairs in the Middle East. And maybe Ron Paul had it right all along.
Plans, rumors, and war propaganda for attacking Syria and disposing Assad has been around for many months. This past week, however, it was reported that the Pentagon indeed was finalizing plans to do just that. In my opinion, all the evidence to justify this attack is bogus. It is no more credible than the pretext given for the 2003 invasion of Iraq or for the 2011 attack on Libya.
Well, there's no secret that the United States of America love war and love going to war. In this case, they've been caught funding the FSA, the Free Syrian Army, and are indeed well entrenched in the local civil war.
Good evening, David. We spoke tonight with the group that organized that trip for Senator John McCain today. They told us that he crossed from Turkey into Syria with just a small contingent of American security and was largely under the protection of the Syrian rebels. We're also told that initially he wanted to go much deeper into Syria, but in the end went just across the border. He spent about an hour meeting with 5 different rebel commanders who came from all over Syria to plead with him for heavier weapons, a no-fly zone, and airstrikes against the forces of President Bashar al-Assad.
So they're asking for more weapons, no-fly zone, and an aerial strike. How are you going to get that? Well, in the past, you would just play the WMD card, show a couple dead children, and then maybe fearmonger a bit, and you'd get it, lickety-split. News reports out of CBS state that Senator Lindsey Graham from North Carolina is stating that if we do not strike Syria, Charleston Harbor may be attacked by terrorists. Well, there's your fear-mongering, and indeed we are back to the same old story. So, if you are against the Syrian war, please like this video. And if you'd like to see more of this, don't forget to hit this button over here to subscribe. Remember, do your own research.